Hi everyone, welcome back to Planet Dirt, and today we are going to be seeding all of my squash and cucumbers. So I'm about a week out from my last frost date, and ideally I would be direct sowing these after my last frost date. But in my backyard, I have lots of birds, I have lots of critters running around in the form of little lizards. There is a giant lizard family that lives in my backyard, and they're actually not very nice. They like hiss at you if they get close to you, but they do eat the hornets and the wasps, so we let them be. But that means that they generally eat the seeds before they can even germinate. So I don't have a lot of luck direct sowing these things. I know you're supposed to. I know that the roots don't like being disturbed, but I just seed them in bigger pots, and then they seem to do okay. They do okay until they get attacked by squash bugs, but that's another story. So today is the day where we're going to seed all of these. I have 3 trays here. One's going to be for winter squash, one's going to be for summer squash, and the other tray is going to be for cucumbers. I don't actually have that many cucumber seeds. I thought I had more varieties, but I only have like 4 varieties of cucumbers, but that's okay. I have a slicer, I have an Armenian long, and then I also have a pickling cucumber, so that's totally enough variety for me. As long as I can get some fresh eating out of it and make some pickles, I'm good with the cucumbers. And they're nothing fancy. I know you can get like self-pollinating ones and fancy hybrids and all that stuff. They're just regular cucumbers. So I'm going to start my first succession of those. I do a couple of successions. I do a couple of successions of cucumbers because cucumbers stop producing once you miss one and don't pick it. And the plant's like, okay, I'm done. I made seed, and it just dies. And no matter what, like we don't get a lot of fungal disease or anything here just because it's so dry. But no matter what, I always seem to miss a random cucumber. So I'll be picking and going along and doing good, and the plant starts to die. And then randomly I'll look behind under something, and it's just a giant yellow, way overripe, that looks like a football cucumber. So that always happens. So I just keep successions of them growing. So I'll start these ones. In 3 or 4 weeks, I'll start some more. And then by the time those are done, then I'll have new plants to put in. So let's get going. I have a lot of different kinds. I'm going to make some labels really quick, get them situated, and then we'll get to seeding. All right, so starting with the winter squash, I made labels for everything, and I made the winter squash the blue label because blue, winter, cold, I don't know. So winter squash, and we're going to start with the baby bear pumpkin. I got a bunch of these last year, and it was really cool because they were really cute little decorating pumpkins. So in each cell, I'm going to put a couple, probably 3, and then I will just thin them out. I don't have the greatest germination luck with squash. I know with pumpkins you can scrape the edges off, like prick the little corner off. I would assume you can do that with all winter squash, but who knows? I've never done that before. Acorn squash. These are delicious. I made soup out of these last year. Where are my acorns? There they are. So I'm just going to put probably 3, at least 2, in each cup. I'm not going to let them all go. At the very, very most, I will let 2 grow. I'm not going to let all 3 if they all germinate. I'll just cut out the weak link in whichever one. Next I have baby boo pumpkin. It's exactly the same as the baby bear, only it is white instead of orange. Again, I just used these as a decorating pumpkin last year. I got so many of them. I think there were like 6 on each vine, and I had like 5 vines. So I got a ton of those last year, which was really cool. And then I have the gourd mix. So the gourd mix, you never really know what you're getting. They all look kind of funky like this. And we're never sure which one we're going to get. But they're very cool to decorate the Thanksgiving table with. And fall decorations are my absolute favorite. I know, it's not even summer yet, and I'm already getting excited about fall. But still, fall is so much fun. Next, I have field pumpkin. So a lot of these I actually got in the Am I Gardener grab bag. I'll link that video. That grab bag had a lot of really cool stuff in it. It had some stuff that I'm probably never going to grow. It was just like for funsies stuff. But hey, I'll try, but it's nothing I would have ever ordered for myself. But I did get some cool peppers out of it. I got some strange varieties of corn that I've never tried before. And then I also got, like this one, I got some random pumpkins. This one I did order on purpose, the blue hybrid squash, because I heard that this one is really meaty and it's not as, it's pretty dense. It's not as watery. Oh, look at those honker seeds. Big old guys. These are huge. These seeds being so big is also why you don't want to start them in a little tiny pot, because they grow so insanely fast and they're already big to begin with. And so they run out of room insanely quickly. So my last frost date is in a week. I might wait out another week after that to plant these out because they are so cold sensitive. I don't remember if it was last year. It must have been last year or the year before. I did not know, this is Long Island cheese pumpkin. I did not know that a lot of squash, it's not just that they're frost tender, it's that they're even slightly cold tender. And not even in the way that, how do I explain it? Like a pepper can technically go down to a frost. It's not good for it. It doesn't like it. It can stunt it, right? But the plant will still survive. There are a lot of squash where if it gets below 40 degrees, they just die. And I didn't know that. And so there were a bunch of winter squash that I had. I think it was last year that I had to go out and reseed because we had a couple of nights that were like 38. And I was like, oh, it's fine. It's not going to get below freezing. I don't need to cover them up or anything. And I went out and they were all frost damage, even though it didn't actually get cold enough to frost. This one I can't pronounce, but this was another one that came from the Am I Gardener grab bag. And apparently it's a really big pumpkin. Oh yeah, look at these. Look at these fat seeds. They're chunksters. They're not just big, they're stout. All right, what's it called? Oh, I can't pronounce that. Jarhar or something. Jaja Binks. The Jaja Binks pumpkin. You guys grown a Jaja Binks pumpkin? Because that's what I'm calling it. Wonder if I should have scored these. I mean, they'll still grow, but hopefully they'll probably just take a little longer. I have a butternut. I'm excited about this one. It's supposed to be smaller and therefore the plant is going to be a little more prolific. Buttermilk. There we go. So it's a cross between a crookneck and a butternut squash, I think, if I remember correctly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But with a butternut squash, which I have those too, those are really great, but you only get a few out of every vine because they're so big. They're kind of like the big pumpkins where you only get like 2 off of every single vine. This one is honey nut squash, and these are smaller than the butternut squash. So again, you're supposed to get a few more per vine. All right, honey nut squash. Honey nut, there it is. I did not put these cups in any order, which I should have. So I'm like hunting around for the label. But actually, this is kind of nice because I know I'm not double seeding anything. And I don't have to stop in between and when my fingers are all dirty and write some more. So this is the butternut squash, and these ones are really great. I love cooking with them, but you just don't get very many. And this was the first squash I ever tried to grow, and I ended up getting a bunch of them, and they last for months and months and months. I think I ate my last one, and it was like midsummer the next year. It was insane how long it lasted, and it was still perfectly good. So they lasted really long, but I did only get like 2 per vine because they got so big. And part of that is we just have a really, I don't want to say really short, it's pretty short. It's on the shorter end of growing seasons here. And so if you lived in a longer growing season, you'd probably get a lot more out of it. All right, this is the jack-o'-lantern. And this is just your standard carving pumpkin. And I like to grow these every year because I like to make roasted pumpkin seeds. Have you ever made roasted pumpkin seeds? And you can play around with all of the flavors, but my favorite is just like a ranch seasoning. So I made a homemade ranch powder, and last year I did like 3 big trays of them, and I love the ranch ones. They're so good when you roast them. Ooh. Okay, this one only had 10 in it, and it's from last year, so I only have 3 seeds left of the golden pippin. The golden pippin. There's only 3 left, you guys. All gone. That's okay. I don't remember loving this one, so I'm not going to lie to you. It's probably going to be the last year I grow this one. Sweet meat. Ooh, sweet meat. Okay, so this one's a really good roasting pumpkin. And this was one of the ones last year that, oh, look at that honker. This is one of the ones last year that I got it to germinate. I planted it in the ground, and the vine borer got it. So I didn't get anything out of it because it was just dead. So I am planting a ton of herbs. I have fennel, I have flowers, I have a whole bunch of stuff to plant around. I planted a bunch of nasturtium. I seeded a bunch of nasturtiums, and those are supposedly supposed to deter vine borers and squash bugs. So I'm going to heavily intercrop this year with all of those things, and hopefully that cuts down on all of the pest pressure. I was also told that dill, so I have dill, fennel, lots of flowers, and nasturtium being the main one, that I'm going to be planting all in these beds. And the fun part is, when I first made my garden plan, I had a little tiny strip that was only like one plant wide along the side of my fence where I was going to be planting these outside. And now that's where all of those raised beds are. So I have a lot more depth to be planting with. So these vining ones, my plan is to put these vining ones along the back where I have the trellis. So the smaller ones can vine up. And then the bigger ones, the jack-o'-lantern, the Long Island cheese, the Connecticut pumpkin, I'm going to put them closer to the edge of the bed facing the yard. And I'm going to let those trail over. And then the summer squash, the ones that are bush varieties, I'm going to put those in the middle. So hopefully I will have room for all of these. And if I don't, then Mom, you get free plants. Yay! She'll love it. I got a family who likes plants, so they won't go to waste either way. All right, now we are moving on to summer squash, and I use yellow labels because yellow is summer in my head. So that's how I'm going to keep it straight, because I'm not writing summer squash on every single label. So I have a couple of duplicates in here because I'm probably going to end up giving some away. And who doesn't love a good squash, guys? So I'm going to start with the early prolific straight neck. And this one was a part of the M.I. Gardner grab bag. And, oh, it's starting to rain, you guys. Can you hear it? I don't know if you can hear it. It's starting to rain, though. Keeps saying that it's going to rain. It's been saying that for like 3 days now. And it has not rained at all until now. But that's fine. Now it's raining and it's going to go water in all of the things that I transplanted. I transplanted out some my asparagus that I winter sowed, and I got my leeks out in the garden. And what else did I put in that bed? Oh, my artichokes, and I winter sowed those as well. And I got those all out yesterday, and then those are over by my flowers and my tomatoes. Y'all, I was so excited that I was able to get the sprinkler on that side of the yard all up and lovely, and it was watering the bed beautifully. I was so excited that I forgot to close off that side of the little gate that I have over there that's blocking my dog, and he took the opportunity to run through and stomp through the middle of my beds. And thank goodness I only had things planted on either side of the bed. I didn't really have anything planted down the middle of it because he just stomped all the way down. Oh my goodness. Dog proofing your yard. Any tips? Put them in the comments. I'm all ears. All right, next we have crookneck. So I think all of these summer varieties are bush varieties. I think. I'm gonna read the label as I go along because I feel like there was a winter squash that was bush and there was one summer squash that was a vine, but I don't really remember. And that is something that I should look up and put on the label because, where's my crookneck? Oh, there it is. Because that's going to determine where I place it in the bed. And that's really the only thing that matters with where I'm putting these. All right, next up I have round zucchini. These bad boys, they're really great. They produce really early, but they got killed so early. They were one of the first victims of the squash vine borer last year. Plant died like first week of June. It was very early. All right, white scallop squash. These bad boys, I have 3 different types of scallop squash, and I keep trying to grow them because, I don't know, I'm a masochist apparently. These ones just get covered in squash bugs, like absolutely covered. And last year, I decided that I was going to be really good about it, and I was just going to get over the squirminess of it and just go out there every single day. Every morning, I went out there with gloves on and a cup of soapy water, and I picked every single squash bug that I could find off of all of these plants, right? And I got all of the seeds that I could find. I did my absolute best, and for literally weeks and weeks on end. And they ended up leaving the rest of my squash alone. But the scallop squash, y'all, they just love it so much. And it makes me want to put the scallop squash just in between, or maybe on one end, and just attract all of them to it, maybe. Use them as a trap crop. I don't know. But I also have green. And I don't know. I hate squash bugs. They are the bane of my existence because I absolutely love squash. And it should be this really easy thing to grow. And then these stupid bugs show up. It's not the yellow. So I have 3 kinds. Yellow, white, and green. All right, next we have my absolute favorite. I saved a bunch of seed for this one from last year, so I'm going to use up the seed that I have. Yeah, there's only 4 left. So I'm going to use up the seed that I have, and then I have a big old jar of seeds that I saved from last year, because this one is amazing. It's lemon squash, and it's just a little tiny, I don't know, baseball size, I guess, is when I harvest it. And it's delicious. It's sweet. You can chop it up, use it just like you would a green zucchini. I put it in zucchini bread. You can put it in stir fries. You can do whatever with it. But it is naturally resistant to squash bugs. So this one, I'll try to find a picture and put it up here. So last year, most of my squash succumbed to some kind of pest pressure by the end of the season. And this one plant that was the lemon squash, it was gigantic and flourishing, and I got so many squash off of this one plant. And people are always like, you're growing so many, you're going to be up to your ears in squash. Yes, that's the point. I want to be up to my ears in squash because I use it for so many different things. I just throw it in dinner whenever, and then I also freeze it and make squash out of it all winter long. Squash. I make zucchini bread out of it all winter long, but I can't do that if I don't have any, or if my squash plants all die, which is usually what happens. So I'm going to overplant the heck out of everything, and then hopefully I'll get something. So this is just a standard golden zucchini. I want all the zucchini, y'all. I want to be drowning in it. I want to be that annoying neighbor who drops off a bag of zucchini, rings the doorbell, and runs. That's who I want to be. And this year we're going to make it happen. All right, gray zucchini. This one was actually pretty good last year. I got a few off of it, but man, those pests. But the squash itself is delicious. It was really good. Very meaty. Didn't get soft as fast as your standard zucchini, which I really liked. Held its texture pretty well. All right. Bianca de Triste. Who is Bianca? Why is she so sad? We're going to find out. So I heard this one is really prolific, and that it produces early. So yeah, it says 45 to 60 days. So that's pretty quick. I'm gonna plant a few of these because I know my family's gonna want some too. So I'll plant quite a few of these ones. All right, and last I just have some standard. This one I got a few years ago. I don't know. I still have a few seeds from it, but I don't know what the germination rate. A few. I have one. There's one seed left in this pack, but I held on to the pack anyway because that's what I do. And so this is just a regular one, and then I also have the Black Beauty. So the Black Beauty is another standard, good old, reliable zucchini. So I'm going to plant a couple of those as well, in case some of the fam wants some. Put that one seed in there, hope it germinates. Black Beauty. You know what I just thought of? I have those eggplants. They're called like Rosa Bianca. I wonder if it's like a region or something. I don't know. I wonder if it's not a person. I wonder if it's a place. And they come from the same place, maybe. I don't know. All right, so that is it for the summer squash. I'm going to get this tray moved over, and then we can finish up with the cucumbers. All right, y'all, we are almost done. We accomplished a lot today, and we're almost there. So first up, I have for the cucumbers a standard muncher cucumber. This one is 59 to 65 days to harvest. That feels long to me for a cucumber. I don't know. I'll put a few in a cup and we'll see. I don't think I've gotten very many off of this one before. So the first year I grew cucumbers, I made the mistake of planting them in the greenhouse. And while the plants grew really big and did very well because there was such good soil in here, there was nowhere for them to vine. There was nowhere for them to go. So they kind of fell over onto themselves and then all the way into the walkway, and I couldn't walk. Luckily for me, they were on this far side of the greenhouse where there's not a door or anything. So it was just that part that was blocked off. It wasn't impeding me from getting to the rest of my beds, but it was still a big old mess. So next up, I have the Armenian Long, and I love these cucumbers. They are really big. They get super, super long, hence the name. And I took a bunch of different tomatoes last year. I just grabbed whatever was ripe. It was so funny. My mom called me and was like, hey, can you bring a veggie side dish? Because you have veggies. And I was like, sure, I'll figure something out. And I went out there and there was a hunkin' long Armenian long cucumber. This thing was ridiculously long. It was probably 18 inches. And they get pretty big around too. So it was ridiculously big. I sliced that up, and then I found a bunch of fresh herbs and a bunch of different types of tomatoes, and I made a yummy cucumber tomato salad. And the only thing I added, I think that I didn't grow in my garden, was a squeeze of lemon because it made a little brightness. But nope, I missed one cup. See, that's what I get for trying to talk. Trying to talk while I'm seeding. I missed one cup. So I'm going to plant 3 of these this year. That year, I only planted 1. And it's the same kind of concept with these as it is with the squash, because while I love those, you only get a few per plant because they're so big. And so the plant just can't make a million of them, which is fine. I'll just plant more plants because I have room. Next up, I have the National Pickling Cucumber, standard pickling cucumber. I love having refrigerator pickles in the refrigerator where you put them over the summer, and having these in the garden makes that really easy. All right, and last one is Market More. And never grown this one before, but it doesn't get very big. So, fruit size 8 to 9 inches. It's a good size one. Never mind. This is a container variety, so I just figured it would be on the smaller side. But apparently you can grow big ol' honkin' cucumbers in a container. Who knew? I've never tried it. So that was the other thing that happened when I had my cucumbers in the greenhouse, is I had to do a lot of hand pollination because of where they were in the greenhouse. We do get bees and stuff in here. I leave the door open. So because of where they were so far away from the door that there wasn't very much pollination happening. All right, so that is it for the cucumbers. I'm going to go get all of these watered in. All right, so here's everything we got seeded today. I have all the summer squash, all the winter squash, and I got my cucumbers down here. So it's actually supposed to be really nice in the next week. So I'll probably leave these in the greenhouse for a day or two, and then I'll be able to take them outside where everything else is hardening off and leave them out there for a few days so that I don't have to harden these off too, so that once they germinate, they're getting full sun. So let's go take a look at everything that's outside hardening off and what I got planted yesterday. All right, just really quick, we got all of the flowers. We got nasturtiums, we got sunflowers, we got a lot of basil, my 2 tomatillo plants. Look at my alyssum, guys. Isn't it pretty? I love alyssum. I'm going to get some of this into the greenhouse, but some of it is going to go by the tomatoes that are going to go outside. That's why it's out here hardening off. This is the rest of my winter sowing. So some of it is looking great. Look at my rhubarb. I've killed rhubarb so many times. Got the goji berry. Look at those looking so good. I got one little V-bomb. Lavender, I have like one in there, one little tiny lavender plant, and that's it. But look, my chamomile's starting to sprout too. I gotta get this in the ground somewhere. But I'm honestly not really sure where I should put the chamomile because I know that it self-seeds pretty readily, and I want that to happen. So wherever I put it, I need it to be okay with it being there for a long time. All right, so this is what I got planted out yesterday. I got some asparagus, got some artichokes. I don't honestly know if these are going to do very well over here, but I know that the artichokes are perennials for a couple of years. You can grow them. And the asparagus is, of course, perennial for many, many years. And so I figure by the time the asparagus is getting established and doing well, then the artichoke's going to be gone. All of these leeks are obviously going to be gone as well. Those will come out in a few months, so I'm not worried about that. But I needed to get them in the ground somewhere. And then this is the state of the bed. I had to rake over all of the paw prints that were in it, but it's coming together. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot the peppers. Look at all these peppers hardening off out here. Got a couple of eggplants in here. Most of these are going to new homes. I'm not keeping all of these. I already got my peppers and my eggplants planted. All right, guys, that's where we're going to end it today. Thanks for coming along with me and getting some stuff planted, and I'll see you next time. Bye.